Good morning, and thank you everyone so much for joining us here on the Wildcat Way Show. I am Kari Eve Valance.
And I'm Kendale Lumpkins. Welcome to the newly dropped episode of the Wildcat Way Show, a show in which we hope encourages and inspires all who are watching or listening on our YouTube or podcast.
Now, the Wildcat Way Show will drop a new episode every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. That's on our YouTube channel, the Wildcat Way Show. We are also available on anywhere that you listen to your podcast. That's on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Amazon Music. So be sure to put us in your weekly rotation and like and subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Today we're going to finish off what we started last week and talk about how to build your self-confidence and how important that is to really do the work in and of yourself to get rid of those insecurities that you may hold on to.
Yeah, and Karen, whenever I think about confidence, I think about it from a sports perspective. So I play sports and I'm real competitive. When we're playing sports.
Sure.
And I see basketball players like, you got the Michael Jordans, you got the Kobe Bryants, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin, all those guys that have done great things.
Right.
What I realized, I used to think that they had something that nobody else was born with.
Okay.
But what they do have, they work extremely hard at what they do.
Right.
And so their confidence, like some of the shots that I'd be like, wow, I can't believe he took that shot. It's only because he's practiced that so much.
Sure.
It's only because he's done that. That's repetition, repetition, repetition. So that's why I'm so comfortable now getting in front of a camera.
Right.
I didn't start like this.
Right, yeah.
But I've done this so much to a point where I'm like, okay, look, I'm not the best at it. I'm not the greatest ever at it.
Right.
I'm just somebody that's comfortable with me because I've done it so much and I face my fears, and we talked about insecurities.
Right.
That's why this is a good segue into how to overcome insecurities and build your self-confidence.
Right.
And a lot of it is just repetition. A lot of it is just practice doing something over and over again until you feel comfortable enough to do it.
Well, right. It's just the saying, practice makes perfect, right? I mean, not everyone is just naturally gifted in every aspect of their lives. The work has to come into it.
That's it.
Yeah, we like talking, we like conversing with each other, and we like to be motivated and motivational to other people, but it takes a while to get comfortable in front of the camera and with the lights and all the sound machines and everything. And it takes work to even build a relationship with each other. And we've known each other since last year. And our first time that we sat down and I interviewed you, we just immediately clicked. And every time we've been put together, tasked with a different thing to work on, we're like, yeah, of course, let's do it. And now when we were given this opportunity, it was kind of a no-brainer. Let's do it. But it's because we put in the work to get to know each other and feel comfortable with each other and made the decision, let's do this together. Let's embark on this journey.
And then, Kari, too, I think you said something that was so profound. Like when you talk about getting to know people, like this was automatic, like an instant connection. But it don't always work like that, right? And it don't always mean that just because it didn't work like that is not for you.
Right.
Just like with speaking. So I was the kid in school where they told me to be quiet.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So I've always talked. It was just misdirected.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like I was on a path that I shouldn't have been on with the talking. But now it's like I'm naturally gifted at this.
Right.
So I work at the right stuff.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you can work at the wrong stuff and never be confident in it because it's not for you to do.
Right.
So that's why I never encourage people to try to do what they see other people doing.
Right.
Figure out what it is that you need to be doing, that you're passionate about, that you like, that you feel is your calling, you feel is your purpose on this earth, and follow that, because you can try to do what I'm doing and never be comfortable in front of a camera because this is not for you. So I'm only doing stuff that I know I'm confident in, that I am made for.
Well, because you're prioritizing what actually is your purpose and what makes you feel good, right?
Exactly,
so you're putting in the work into what your priorities are.
Yep.
And that just gives you an automatic sense of self-confidence, because if you decide, this is what's important to me, this is what I want to work on, and then you succeed in it at the end, that's an instant self-confidence booster, right?
Yep.
Because you're like, I did it. I challenged myself. This was a goal of mine, and I accomplished that goal.
And Kari, so when we talked about working out on the last episode last week, we talked about my confidence in the gym came from me facing the fears and continuing to do it.
Sure.
So now whenever I go in the gym, I don't walk with my head down now.
Right.
I don't look like I'm not supposed to be there now. But that didn't come just in a day.
Right.
I think you build your confidence over time. And I think so often what happens with confidence is that we expect it to happen so instantly that when it doesn't happen that way, we just quit doing it. Like there's so many people, and I always believe that there's so many people that could have been great, should have been great, but didn't because they stopped at, oh, I failed the first time.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, it didn't go my way the first time. And so then you just shatter your confidence if you run every time, because you're going to have to start over again. You're going to have to redo it again
100%.
in something else. So,
well, you have to always not like step away from any obstacles that might come your way, right?
Yeah.
Nothing in life is just handed to you on a silver platter. There are going to be trials and tribulations that you have to go through. And in order to build your self-confidence and your sense of self-worth, you have to climb those obstacles and overcome those mountains and make sure that you are doing the best for yourself.
Yeah, and Kari, so the reality is you're confident only in what you've been experienced to or exposed to, right?
Sure.
So like, I've been married 7 years. So I'm more confident in my marriage than probably the person that's been in marriage 1 year.
Sure, right.
But there are people that are more confident in their marriage that's been married 30 years, 20 years than I am, because they've been experienced in that area, they're exposed to that area, just like with our kids. Right? So I'm not always confident that I'm doing the right thing. And then I see people older than me be like, oh man, stop worrying about that. It's going to be okay. And I'm like, where did that confidence come from for you to just be so nonchalant? And I'm looking at my child like, man, I'm scared to let him do certain stuff. Or I'm scared to let her go and do. They're like, man, they're going to be fine. And so I think that's where a lot of confidence come from, is the experience too, right?
Absolutely.
The exposure to something.
Well, we talked about that when we had our discussion about like mentors, and how we have our own personal mentors and how we would one day want to be mentors to other people. That comes with time, right? That comes with life experience and learning lessons. And that comes from mistakes and making better decisions afterwards. And so I think that when you're trying to rebuild your self-confidence after overcoming insecurities, it's because you have to decide, you've decided to put in the work and work on yourself first, to work on your inner security and to work on how you feel on the inside and how you portray yourself on the outside. Right.
And Kari, going back to whenever I talked about doing the right stuff. So I know a lot of people that are gifted in different ways, in different areas of their life. And so for me, it would be foolish of me to think that I'm supposed to be doing what everybody else is doing. So that's why I say go back to knowing who you are, knowing what you're good at, knowing what you're gifted at, knowing what you're supposed to be doing, because opportunities will be out there, but every opportunity, every door is not for you.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that's where a lot of people struggle with confidence, because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. See, whenever you figure out what you're not supposed to be doing, I think it'll direct you to where you're supposed to be.
Right, absolutely. And I think that can become an easier transition for you
most definitely.
as you start taking away those negative thoughts that you can sometimes internalize in yourself. You know, if you just start chipping away at that and trying to focus on what it is that makes you happy, what it is that betters your life, what it is that's going to put you on the correct path for your direction, for the fulfillment that you need to feel, then you'll reactively just experience that.
Yeah, and so Kari, that's why we talked about last week, and we talked about the arrogance piece of insecurity, and it shows up. So self-confidence and arrogance are not the same thing.
Absolutely.
Right. So and most people, whether they believe it or not, know when arrogance is coming. We know arrogance from a mile away. We can see it. Right. And so when you're undermining, you think you're better than people. You think you're just the best, you're the gift to the world, and there's nothing else been better. Like, that's arrogance. That's not self-confidence, which actually is insecurity, because you hadn't really discovered or figured out the real you. So you have to do that to promote yourself, do that to be better. And so my confidence in where I am now is just understanding, Kendale, you don't have to be perfect in order to be great at something. Right. And so my self-confidence comes from knowing, for one, I'm not in this thing by myself. I have other people, like we talk about the mentors that I go to, I get coached by, that they let me know, hey, look, that was good, that was bad, talk about this, don't talk about that. And so I think confidence is just a whole bunch of stuff built in together, but I think ultimately it just takes time to have that confidence.
And we talked about this before too, the company that you keep, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
That can be detrimental to your confidence if you allow it to be, and if you surround yourself with the wrong type of people that don't have the same mind frame as you do. Because the company that you keep can really have a direct impact on your state of mind and well-being.
So Kari, imagine you and I being cool, but we don't encourage each other.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like, you may not die from it, but it will do something to your self-esteem. It will, because you don't have people in your quality world that are speaking to the good about you, right? You wouldn't want to be married to Jonah if he's always negative.
Right, absolutely.
If every day how does this look? Oh, that looks bad. Take that off. That don't, like that. Right. Wow, I don't need your affirmation to live. It's okay to have people around me that encourage me, that push me, that build me up. I was just talking to the softball girls last week, and I told them, I am to people what I need them to be to me.
Absolutely.
So I encourage and uplift, encourage, inspire people because that's what I feed off of. So I surround myself around people that help me grow in that area. And that's where a lot of my confidence comes from, because I don't call people that I know going to be negative about what I'm doing. Like, not that I don't want to hear the truth. I just don't want to hear your overly negative opinion because some people speak from a different place. Some people are not talking to you to help you. They're trying to really hurt you. Misery loves company. Miserable people don't like to see other people happy. So it makes no sense if you're trying to build your self-confidence to hang around people that always tear you down.
Well, it's just like you have to like kill those negative thoughts, right? So if you don't want to have that train of thought implemented into your mainstream way of your thinking, you can't surround yourself with people that do that, because there are sets of people like that, but that's just because they have some sorts of insecurities within themselves and they have yet to do the work. It's up to you to look into your own self and well-being and to make the decision to do the work on yourself to provide yourself with a better sense of self-confidence.
And Kari, when you know your purpose, like when you know your why, I think that helps you with confidence too. And the reason why I say that is because, like I mentioned, I used to think that just because I saw other people doing stuff, that I could do it too.
Right.
But really, if you're trying to do everything, you're not going to be good at anything.
Sure, absolutely.
And so for me, knowing your purpose, being secure with who you are, knowing that God created you this way and you're going to be good enough just like you are, like that sets the tone for confidence. Like, so whenever I go speak and it's FCA or I go speak to the football team and I'm in there with Coach Smith and this is his first year coaching on a collegiate level. But when you watch him, it looks like he's supposed to be here.
Absolutely.
Because he has some sense of purpose. He has some sense of confidence about himself. Like, I'm supposed to be here. Even though this is my first year, you could tell. And I'm not saying that he don't have any anxiety. I'm not saying that he's not nervous about this being his first year and worrying about winning all the time and wanting to win every game. But what I'm saying is that you could tell, just like with Coach Oni, when you watch him, Coach Fletcher, like they're supposed to be where they are. They're confident in that. Not that they're great, not that they don't make any mistakes, but you could tell the greatness in what they do because their confidence is at an all-time high because they're where they're supposed to be.
100%. What do you think are some valuable ways that people can naturally or day by day help to build their own self-confidence?
So, and these are just things that I think work for me, and I'm not saying they work for everybody. So I do a good bit of reading now. And I think that the reading has helped me see other things other than my own perspective, because I think a lot of times we get stuck in our own head. Like I was telling my wife yesterday, we're talking and she was cleaning up at the house. And, you know, we're chilling and she's cleaning up. And then on my way home, I'm asking her, how was your day? And, you know, how did this go? And she was like, well, I did this and I did that, but I didn't get this done. And I stopped her. I said, when do you get to a place that what you did was good enough?
Sure.
Not worrying about what you didn't do.
Right.
Because you're not going to finish it all anyway in one day. You're human. There's not enough time in a day for us to do everything that we think we're supposed to be doing. So I think you start there. Like I read, I do a devotion, I spend time in the morning quiet, I go work out. I do things that feed me, that add value to me, which ultimately helps me be the man that I am. And then I told her, like, you have to get to a place where you're good with what you didn't do, but you're more appreciative of what you did do.
It's almost like you have to set small goals first, right? Use those as building blocks into how to round out your day, your week, your month. Set the small goals so that way each accomplishment is a win for you.
That's it.
So then you're always celebrating. You're always high-fiving yourself like, oh, I got that done. On to the next one. I got that done. On to the next one. And then that builds up into the bigger picture of what your life is. Are you ready to join the fastest growing community college in Mississippi? Pearl River Community College is ready for you. With improvements at each of our 4 locations in Poplarville, Hattiesburg, Waveland, and online, securing your future has never been more exciting. 42 career and technical programs and academic transfer options allow you to build a bright future at the river. When faced with adversity, Wildcats never quit. Visit prcc.edu to learn more.
Yeah, because Kari, so often I allowed myself to only focus on how far I have left to go, opposed to how far I've come.
Sure, right.
And so now I'm more confident in the journey now.
Right.
Because I'm no longer looking too far ahead. I take time to reflect.
Right.
Like I told you, whenever I got the degree, it was emotional. It was a big moment for me because I didn't worry about, I don't have my doctor's debt.
Right.
I don't have my master's. That was not the conversation. While I'm aspiring to get those things, Kendale, you come a long way.
Sure.
Man, appreciate the journey.
Absolutely.
And so that builds your confidence. I'm talking about small stuff like going to the gym when I don't want to go to the gym. I don't feel like going to the gym. And I asked a friend of mine, and I was like, man, it's something different whenever I go in here and I do what I'm supposed to do. I just feel better about myself.
Yes, I know. And that's a win. For you start your day off with a win. Like
those
already,
small goals.
And I feel like a lot of people do that and then they'll do it for a few days and just kind of like let it get away from them. And then it starts turning into a negative thing. Like, well, I haven't accomplished this. But it's always just up to you to make the decision. Let me give my day a win by having these small goals and using them as building blocks into something bigger. I think another thing is just to be knowledgeable of yourself and what is important to you, right? Are you going to give up some of your energy and some of your time into things that aren't fulfilling you or things that aren't impacting you in a positive way in your future? Or are you going to use that energy in your battery life to give to better things that will help someone? Yeah,
because Kari, I think time is valuable. And the reason why it's so valuable is because it's limited.
Absolutely.
Energy is valuable. The reason why it's so valuable because it's limited. I don't have a limited amount of energy and time.
Right.
Which means I can't do everything or I can't be everything for everybody and still be able to do the things that mean the most to me.
Right.
So whenever I'm away from my family, like that's challenging for me. I know I have to do it, but the reality is, so being that I'm automatically away with my job, with work and purpose, there's only a limited amount of things that I do outside of that.
Absolutely.
Because I don't have the energy. I don't have the time to put to things that mean the most to me.
Right.
And so that's what my confidence is in. So my phone don't ring a lot.
Right.
Many people don't call me to go hang out because they know that dude that he's stuck on his family, he's stuck on purpose, he's stuck. So he's only doing the things that are feeding where he's trying to go and feeding him.
Well, I think too, the confidence part can come from a lot from your joy, right? And your level of happiness. Yeah. And you are happy because you're surrounded by your wife, my husband, our kids, our job that we love, our Wildcat family here. I enjoy, like yesterday, I enjoyed putting all this stuff together. We were texting back and forth. I was like, I'll see Kendale tomorrow. Like I was happy. So that makes me feel, I walk into work self-confident today.
Exactly.
And I think that if people would prioritize what gives them fulfillment in life, that's an automatic way to help your self-confidence.
And Kari, it's just all about summing it up. It's just about what's important to you.
Right.
Talking to the PRCC coach, softball coach, Coach Meeks, and they have this mantra. They have this acronym: WIN. What's important now?
Okay, yeah, I like that.
And whenever she told me that, I was like, wow, that's great, because it was special in the moment. Because what's important now means everything. And if everything is important, then that means nothing is important.
Sure.
And so for me, I don't do everything because I understand everything doesn't feed me. So this stuff feels like I'm supposed to be doing this.
Absolutely.
So I get a level of confidence from it because I feel like I'm in the moment. This is important now. And I'm supposed to be doing this show with Kari.
Right.
I'm supposed to be married to who I'm married to. I'm supposed to be working at Pearl River Community College. I'm supposed to be working where I work outside of this. I'm supposed to be the FCA ambassador. This stuff doesn't feel pressed. It doesn't feel forced. Now, yeah, it's a challenge. It's a grind. You got to get up and do the work. But I feel like I am where I'm supposed to be, which drives my confidence.
And then you feel grateful for those opportunities, right? Like I feel grateful that I came from a small town and moved to another small town, but here in Mississippi, where I'm meeting all these wonderful people, I'm living a life that I never in a million years thought I would. I'm doing this show with you. I have my coworkers here, my husband, my family. I am grateful for all those aspects. Now I had to come a long way to do that, right? I had to get over a lot of my insecurities, insecure about being on camera. I had to do the work. I had to learn how to speak well. I had to, you know, figure out how to put together scripts and research things and get different topics. And I had to get over my fear of just talking to somebody. It does take a lot to spend 30 minutes every week just talking.
Yeah.
But I feel like we said, the more you do it, the easier it comes for you, right?
And Kari, everything that you've been through, we've talked about this before, led you to this place of confidence.
Right, absolutely.
Like you've been on the TV before. You've been on big stages doing different things. So like when you look at it, it's like, okay, I can handle this too.
Right.
I could do this too. Just like with my life, whenever I look at where I come from and what I had to overcome, some stuff I face is like, man, if that's all I got to do, that's nothing.
Right.
Because I done seen worse than this. And I think too, you mentioned something that's not on this topic, but I think it's so important. It's about the grateful piece of it. Man, I don't have to come do this. I get to.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
And so when you shift your mindset, like it just drives you to be better. It drives you to want to do the best that you can, because then you become more confident because, man, I'm grateful that I get to do this. This is awesome opportunity for us to be able to inspire the world with the show, be able to talk to each other about different things and wrestle with ideas to help make somebody else's life better. It just automatically fuels you and say, you know what, this is something to be grateful for. This is something to look forward to. And the challenge, Kari, is not so much about the work, but I challenge people to try to figure out what they're supposed to be doing. Right? Because once you figure out your why, you can start building a level of confidence towards what you're doing. Right.
And I think that once you start honing in on being grateful and being appreciative of the role that you're in, another way to help boost your self-confidence, which some people don't think about, but once they start doing it, it becomes a real passion, volunteering in a certain way or giving back in a certain way, whether it's through your church or through your college or through your sports team, or, like our STEM club here at PRCC always does a great big benefit. We have the food pantry and the market for the kids for their clothing. Any way that you can help someone else get through life and be better and have a happy moment will help make you feel better as well.
So I was talking to Coach Fletcher last week, and, him and I are good friends. We've built a relationship over time. And we share some personal stories. So he talked to me about his journey running these 13-mile, 6K or whatever. I don't know all the math to it. But he said that while he was running, there were people staged at certain parts of the race to help cheer them on.
Right.
What got me was he was like, man, I didn't really understand why I needed that at the time. Then he said he went a little deeper. He told me, he said, Kendale, those people volunteered to be cheerleaders for us.
To encourage
So when you talk about volunteering, man, when you go help somebody else, it automatically helps you.
I know.
It automatically feeds you. And it automatically makes you more confident in whatever it is that you're doing, because you know that it's serving not just yourself, it's serving other people. Arrogance is self-seeking.
Yes.
Confidence is serving others. And I think whenever you get to a place in your life where you start to realize, man, my life is valuable because I was put here to make somebody else's life better. I think it only just builds your confidence and helps you start working towards doing or figuring out what it is that you're supposed to be doing.
And that could just be like changing a habit, right? Like maybe sometimes your habit isn't necessarily a negative thing, but you can be using that time more appropriately, or you're going to be using that energy to better yourself and other people. So that could turn into a weekly or a daily thing, right? I'm going to daily volunteer to go out of my way to help this student I see that might be struggling, or I'm going to volunteer to go out of my way to go spend 2 hours, in the science lab or in the library to assist someone who may need assistance. That's just you making a decision, and then you can walk away with that fulfillment and that knowledge that you've helped make a difference in someone's life.
Yeah, and Kari, we've had these conversations before. There's nothing more rewarding than knowing that my life is being used to help impact somebody else's life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whenever I get a text and somebody says, Kendale, thank you, It does something to my confidence.
Absolutely. Right.
It does something for my self-esteem. It does something for me to know that I made a difference.
Right.
Like when I go speak to the softball girls and the coach randomly sends a text and say, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for coming.
Right.
We really needed that. So that's a confidence booster.
Absolutely.
Because what it does is it makes me want to do more of it. Just like whenever I go to the gym and my trainer tells me, man, you hit it hard today.
Right.
It makes me look forward to the next day. Whenever you and I finish these episodes and we get a chance to talk, and we're like, Kari, that was real good.
Right. Yeah.
Like it pushes us to be better, right? So that goes back to the right people being surrounded around you, that feeds you, that adds to you, that encourages you to be better. And I think those things, it's a mixture of things that just helps you with your confidence. But I also think it starts with who you are and what you're supposed to be doing.
I think it starts really with your internal self and having a positive self-image of yourself, right? Because a lot of times, especially young people, struggle with that. And they may look into the mirror and really just wholeheartedly not see what other people see in them and question why. And it's so important. And a big reason why we do this show is to motivate people to do their best and to be as positive as possible, but also to say, no one's perfect. And it's okay to have questions. And we are always here to help in any way that we can, because it is a very serious thing when people have certain insecurities, because as we mentioned last week, it can delve into trying to cope with those insecurities in a detrimental way. And we want to make sure that when we're talking about building your self-confidence, we're giving you positive ways to deal with that and positive ways to counteract those feelings of insecurity.
And Kari, I think you touched on something that was so powerful when you said your self-image. Like, how do you see yourself?
Right, absolutely.
And that's the reason why that's so critical is because I can only do so much for you.
Right.
I can only tell my wife how beautiful she is, but she got to believe that.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I'm going to be her cheerleader. You're going to be your husband's cheerleader. But like the reality is that I can't give you something that you're supposed to have on the inside. And how you see yourself determines how you see the world.
And I think that goes through most of the topics that we've talked about in these last 10 episodes already. It all comes from you making the decision to do the work to get over your insecurities and to have more self-confidence, making the decision to either reach out to a mentor or become a mentor, making the decision to work on your mental health and make sure that you're being mindful in the decisions that you're making. A lot of these things that we're talking about are things that you have to reflect inward and make the decision to make a change.
Yeah, because Kari, self-confidence, overcoming my insecurities, dealing with how I feel mentally, emotionally, that helps with how I interact with other people. And what I mean by that is that, so I'm so confident in myself, not arrogant, not boasting, but I'm confident in me to the point where I don't have to be around people to try to fit in. I don't have to try to make anybody like me. When people reject me, it doesn't tear me down because I know I'm not for everybody, but I'm for who I'm for and I am good enough. And so when you think like this and you start telling yourself this, people are going to talk. People are going to have negative things to say. Kari, I'm telling you now, when this show gets where it could be in 10 years, there are going to be some people that don't like it. There are going to be some people that rate it bad. But the reality is that as long as we're confident in it, as long as we know we're helping people, then it really doesn't matter what the people that are not for us think. And I think that's why dealing with your insecurities and building your self-confidence is so important, because it automatically changes who you hang around. It automatically changes what you care about. There's certain stuff I don't care about. There's certain things that what people say about me don't really matter to me because I'm doing what I'm confident in. I'm doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing. And if it's not for you, then move on to the people that it is for.
Well, it's important and let's end on that, because we're making things a priority, right? And that's really the message that we're trying to drive home here. You have to do the work and have to self-reflect and make sure that your priorities are the most positive ones for you and that you're taking the time to use it there. That's all we have time for today, but we'll have a new episode next Tuesday. The Wildcat Way Show will drop at 10 a.m. on our YouTube channel, The Wildcat Way Show. And you can also listen to The Wildcat Way Show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, anywhere you listen to your favorite iTunes, to your favorite podcast, just put us in rotation. You can like, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and we are just thrilled to continue to do this and hope to get our message to as many people as possible. Thank you.